how do you prove yourself in an environment that doesn't value you without burning out? I guess that can apply to a few industries. And then another one, what techniques did you use to maintain strong or focused mental health in what was obviously a very emotionally challenging environment? So A, how do you make sure you don't burn out if people don't care that you're going to burn out? And then slightly tangential one on mental health.
If you're in a place where you're not valued, for the long term, you might want to look at another place that will value you. I think that's pretty important, that you are in a place where you're valued, where your contributions are valued. And it may be a case where you need to find that mentor and find that sponsor. There may also be a time where you're working where you find that satisfaction in another role. For example, doing some work for a not-for-profit or a volunteer role. So I think there's ways that you balance those requirements that we all need of some validation, that we all need of contribution. And if you don't find it in your work at the moment, it might be something that you find in another role. At the same time, in the long haul, find a place where you are valued, because over the long haul, that's really important. But to back out to the 30,000 foot view of both of those questions, how do you not burn out? And then how do you challenging times? This goes back to understanding your team. It's a big piece, but there's several components of fitness, and the military actually pulls from the positive psychology work at the University of Pennsylvania for the soldier fitness program. But it really is purely this positive psychology work, which is really important. And it's understanding that there's different forms of fitness, and you want to balance these in your life. One of them is social, making sure that you have some social outlet. I know right now that is so hard for all of us because lots of times it's just over the screen, but it beats at all, or a phone call, or if, depending on where you live, maybe you can go for a walk outside with somebody. But that social contact is important, and it also gives you the support and the energy that you need. Setting boundaries is really important, especially in this Zoom world or this online world where people are actually working sometimes as much as 3 hours more a day than they were before the pandemic. So setting boundaries on your time, and if you're a manager, setting boundaries on your people's time, not allowing them to sign on early and making sure they're signed off by a certain point is important as well, because this constancy of being online is challenging. But in any environment, online or offline, those boundaries are really important to set to take care of yourself. And you'll find that people respect them when you set them. I think it's scary to set them initially because you want to prove that you're willing to do anything at all times, but those boundaries are critical to your mental health and your emotional health. And then your spiritual health, whatever that means for you, whether that means walking in nature, whether that means, for me, it's going to church once a week. For somebody else, it might be going to a mosque or synagogue or meditating or something else. Your spiritual self, however it is that you define that, is a really important part of your well-being. And so prioritizing that spiritual health is important as well. It really comes down to making the priorities of what is part of a healthy life and recognizing that that's bigger than that professional life. Sometimes you'll find all the satisfaction you need in the professional life that you want, and sometimes you'll need to find it in some other areas as well. But over the long haul, find a place to work where you are valued. And in the meantime, make sure that you're setting those boundaries and really giving yourself the chance to develop in those areas that support you as a whole person, because life is about that.